Hi, Lindy. My name is Loretta. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm okay.
That's understandable. It's pretty common for people to feel nervous when they come in for their first few sessions, while we're getting to know one another. Can I offer you a cold water?
Actually, yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
You're welcome. There's also some candy on the table if you would like some at any time during our session. Please feel free to help yourself. The restrooms are right across the hall. My name is Loretta, and I'm a therapist here at the Big Blue Nation. Today, we're going to complete the intake assessment, which really consists of gathering some background information about you and your family, which will help me understand you a little bit better. I want to really stress to you that this is a safe place. Everything that we discuss here remains between you and I, with a few exceptions. I am a mandated reporter, and as a mandated reporter, if you disclose that you have any thoughts of hurting yourself or others, I am required by law to report it. In addition, if you discuss information about elder, child, or animal abuse, I'm also required by law to report that. Do you have any questions or concerns about that?
Um, are you going to share a conversation with anyone else outside of that?
That is a great question. Outside of the mandating reporting requirements, everything we discuss stays between us. From time to time, a situation may arise where I may need guidance from, say, my supervisor. In those situations, limited information is shared, but any identifiable information, such as your name, age, address, etc., all that information is kept confidential. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect. My phone if you want to. If there is anyone you would like us to communicate with, such as a doctor or a school, you would just need to sign an authorization to release information. Otherwise, our conversations are confidential. Before we get started, I just need you to sign a consent for us to proceed. The consent details your rights to privacy, confidentiality, and the mandated reporting that we've discussed. If you don't have any questions about the consent, please go ahead and sign this, date the consent. You'll also receive a copy in your folder to take home with you today.
Okay, thank you.
We may discuss some topics in here that are emotionally charged. If you feel uncomfortable or if you need a break at any time, please let me know. This is your time. If you don't want to answer a question or discuss a topic, that's okay too.
Okay.
Do you have a preferred name, like a nickname or
No, I just go by Lindy.
okay? What are your preferred pronouns?
She, hers, fine.
Okay. And do you have any cultural beliefs or preferences that I should be aware of?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. Do you have any medical conditions that I should be aware of?
No, sometimes I have allergies, but they're not serious.
Okay. And do you take any medication regularly?
I take Tylenol sometimes if I have headaches or cramps or anything like that, but nothing daily.
Okay. Do you drink or use recreational drugs?
Sometimes I'll have a beer if I'm out with friends, but I don't really drink. It makes me feel weird. I don't like to feel out of control.
Okay. Who did you grow up with?
I grew up with my parents and my sister, and my parents actually still live in the same house that we were raised in. And I'm in my first year of college, so I decided to stay with them until I finish school.
Oh, that's a great idea. School can be very stressful. It's important to your success that you're close to your support system. Who would you say is in your support system?
I would say my parents, my sister Opal, and my best friend Pearl.
Do you currently have or have you ever had a history of legal problems?
No, I don't think I've ever really been in trouble.
Okay. Do you or your family have a history of military service?
Not that I'm aware of.
I do appreciate you sharing that information with me. So, can you tell me what brought you in here today?
Well, I went to my yearly checkup and the doctor had me fill out some kind of survey. And then after the survey, Dr. Sapphire asked me a bunch of questions and she felt like I have anxiety and she asked if I'd be interested in therapy, so here I am.
Okay. Well, do you mind sharing some of your symptoms that you've been experiencing with me?
No, I don't mind. Sometimes I feel tense all over and I feel really anxious, and whenever I do, my stomach hurts. and I feel like I might get sick. And then I lay in bed at night and I feel tired, but I can't sleep. And I just keep thinking. I feel like I can't turn my brain off. And then sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and have trouble going back to sleep. Feel like I can't focus on work and school. And when I try to do homework, I can't concentrate. My mind wanders off and I feel really anxious. And sometimes I feel like I don't understand what people are saying to me right away, and it takes me a few minutes to understand things. And I also feel like sometimes I just completely forget what I'm saying or where the conversation's going, and my mind goes blank. And that really makes me nervous, uncomfortable having conversations with people. And I also feel irritable and I find myself snapping at my friends and family for no reason sometimes. The other day, I was at a restaurant and I snapped at the waitress, and there were a bunch of people and different noises, and I just snapped at her for no reason. And I felt so bad. I apologized and I just left. I was so embarrassed. And then I started to worry about how I might impact her day and how people were judging me, and it was just so much for me to think about.
Thank you for sharing that with me. It sounds like it can be very overwhelming. How long have you been experiencing anxiety?
I don't know, more than 6 months, maybe less than a year.
Okay. And how many days a week would you say that you have anxiety?
I would say pretty much every day. I can't remember a day where I haven't felt anxious and overwhelmed, but some days are worse than others.
Wow, that really sounds exhausting. Thinking about the past 3 months, have you noticed that you feel more anxious at home, school, in public, or maybe with friends?
Not really. It's more situational than environmental, I guess. Like, for instance, Monday, I wasn't anxious during school, but yesterday, the thought of having to go to class had me really worked up. I don't really know why. Nothing really stands out as to why I felt that way. I just did.
Okay. So if you had a magic wand and you waved it and it would remove all of your anxiety symptoms, what would your life look like?
Oh, I think it would be amazing. I wouldn't constantly have to worry about everything all at the same time. I could probably relax and enjoy time with my friends and family. I wouldn't be embarrassed or scared that I was going to snap at somebody. And I probably wouldn't feel sick to my stomach anymore. I could probably sleep at night. I could probably have a normal conversation without getting anxious and losing my thoughts. And I probably would be able to do my homework better and go to school. And I just wouldn't feel anxious all the time. It would be amazing.
It definitely sounds like anxiety is significantly impacting your life. Would you agree?
Yeah, I feel like anxiety is like this abusive partner that I have that I just can't get away from.
Yes, anxiety can be debilitating, but there are ways to cope with it. Do you ever feel sad?
No, not really, just anxious.
And aside from when you feel anxious, do you feel irritable or moody?
Not really. I'm only anxious and I'm only irritated whenever I'm anxious. So if I'm not anxious, I don't really feel like I snap out at people very much.
Okay, that's understandable. Do you have a history or current thoughts about harming yourself?
Not really. I mean, sometimes when I'm really anxious, I'll think about how peaceful it must be whenever you die and you don't have to have all of these anxious thoughts. But um, I don't want to hurt myself. I can't imagine.
He's playing hard to
Can't
get with me.
imagine doing that.
He wants. No, I want to play by myself. He wants you to.
If you were to have thoughts of hurting yourself, do you have someone that you can reach out to for support, or do you know how to find help?
I mean, I guess I could go to the hospital.
Yes, you could. You can also text 988 and a mental health professional will respond to you.
Oh, really? That's cool. I didn't know I could do that right on my phone.
Yeah, it's very convenient. Do you ever have thoughts of harming others or maybe animals?
No, I could never hurt somebody or even an animal.
Have you ever heard or seen something that only you could hear or see?
Like a hallucination?
Yes.
No, nothing like that.
I know we've gone over a lot of stuff. How are you feeling? Do you feel like you need a break or anything?
No, I'm okay. I actually feel a little bit better than when I first came in.
That is good. I'm glad to hear that you're feeling less nervous. The goal is to have more time where you do not feel anxious. We just have a few more questions to discuss, mostly about your family history and your personal history. Are you feeling up to a few more questions?
Yeah, sure. I don't know a whole lot about my family history, but I can answer as much as I can.
Thank you. I do appreciate your openness. Have you ever seen a psychiatrist?
No, but when I was at the doctor the other day, he did tell me he mentioned possibly giving me some medication for anxiety, but I haven't ever taken any.
Okay. And what are your thoughts about taking medication for anxiety?
I guess it would be okay if it helped me. I'm just worried that it could make me feel like a zombie or out of control or something. Do you think I should?
Anxiety medication can be a useful tool for coping with anxiety. There are a lot of options, including medication that's only taken as needed. I would recommend that you do some research, make a list of questions, and follow up with Dr. Sapphire to discuss his recommendations.
That's a good idea. I have another appointment with him next week, so I can definitely look into that and discuss it with him at my next appointment.
That's a good plan. We can follow up with it during our next session as well.
Okay.
I just have a few more questions now about your family history. I know you said you don't know much about their history, and that's fine. If you don't know the answer to a question, we can just skip it.
Okay.
Thinking about your immediate family, your parents, your siblings, aunts, uncles, etc. Is there a family history of behavior issues, mood, anxiety, or trauma in the family?
My dad's an only child. My mom isn't really close with her siblings, so I don't really know anything about them. I've heard my parents having issues, but I'm sorry, I haven't heard my parents having any issues, but my sister does struggle with anxiety and depression sometimes. She gets really moody and kind of snaps, becomes unhinged almost. I think she takes medication, but she doesn't really talk about it, so I don't know for sure. She's 10 years older than I am, so um, it's kind of like I'm an only child almost.
Thank you for sharing that with me. Does anyone have a history of or a current diagnosis of a substance use disorder?
I don't think so. My dad doesn't have a diagnosis that I know of, but he does drink every day. Not to the point that he's like fall down drunk, but he has a few beers every day. I don't know if he's like an alcoholic or anything. He just kind of drinks to knock the edge off. My mom doesn't drink or anything like that.
Okay. Do you recall a day when your dad didn't have a beer?
Actually, no. As far back as I can remember, he's always had a few beers at night. When I was younger, he used to drink liquor too, but he doesn't drink liquor anymore.
Okay. Does he not like liquor anymore, or does he just prefer beer?
Oh no, he loves liquor, but he can get mean sometimes whenever he drinks it, so he doesn't drink it anymore. I heard stories of him getting drunk and starting fights and waking up in random places. I think that's why I don't really drink.
That definitely sounds like it could be scary. Did you ever witness him being mean or starting a fight?
Well, I don't really like to talk about this, but whenever I was younger, probably before I started high school, I'd wake up in the middle of the night to him slamming doors and throwing things and yelling at my mom. And one night he hit her and gave her a black eye. And ever since then, he hasn't drank liquor. But whenever he did that, my mom and I ended up staying at our grandparents for a few days. I think that's what made him stop drinking liquor because he doesn't want to do that to us anymore.
I appreciate you sharing that with me. It sounds terrifying. I understand that you're not comfortable talking about it, so I will not ask any more questions about it right now. However, we may want to explore this in the future, but we don't have to do that right now.
Thanks. It is hard, and sometimes it brings up bad memories. He is better now. And that's how I prefer to think of him. My dad is a good man and he's a hard worker and he's a good dad to me and I think he's a good husband to my mom. I think he learned from his mistakes.
It sounds like you're very close and that you love him very much.
I do. We are very close and we have similar interests. We both love sports.
I would love to hear more about your relationship with your parents. Our time together today is coming to an end. I typically do like to see new patients weekly until we establish a good rapport and have developed some goals for therapy. How does that sound to you?
I think that would be manageable. Can we keep the appointment the same time and day? It would probably work best for my school and work schedule.
Of course. I know this appointment was long and you answered a lot of the questions. I appreciate your patience and willingness to share with me today. I look forward to getting to know you a little bit more next week. Do you have any questions about anything that we discussed or anything else I can answer for you?
I don't think so.
Okay. So if you think of anything or if you need anything before your next visit, please feel free to call or email me. Otherwise, I will see you next week.
Okay, see you next week.
See you later.